Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel where we talk about manga and books. As for today's video, I have the reading log for the month of August, and this is all I read. It's not a lot, but I read some really good mangas and one that I'm not too sure if I'm going to continue with. Without any further ado, let's get started. So let's start with the BL section, and first off we have Mask Danshin This Shouldn't Lead to Love, the first volume, and I'm so happy someone is publishing this manga in English because I read the entire 4 volumes online and it has become one of my favorites BLs, and it was a wish for me to have this be published here, and it happened out of nowhere. It was announced that it was getting published and I'm just the happiest. I cannot wait to get the second volume, but for now, what is the first volume about? So we follow our two main characters, these two guys right here, and as you guys know, I forgot their names. So Sayama and Saikawa. Let me look for a better one. Okay, so Sayama and Saikawa, they go to the same school, but they're not necessarily friends, and they tend to just ignore one another until there's an accident that kind of forces them to be in the presence of one another, and that's when Sayama has really bad grades and he needs help with tutoring and all of that stuff, and Saikawa kindly offers himself up to be his tutor, and they form a somewhat strange friendship that is later going to become a relationship. Sayama wears a face mask all the time, and Saikawa is wondering why that is, and so we learn that it has something to do with his childhood, with him saying something mean to a girl he had a crush on, and because of that he feels like his mouth is dirty and shouldn't be out and about, so that's why he wears a face mask. It's basically to kind of stop himself from being rude to another person. Again, they start a friendship and then a relationship, and I think it's a really cute story because through Saikawa, Sayama learns to kind of be himself and not worry too much about what other people might think of him. And yeah, it's such a good story. This being the first volume, it's been a really long time since I've read this entire manga, and so I don't remember what happens later on, but it's a good story. I definitely recommend this to anyone who likes BL and likes those type of characters that are grumpy and don't want to deal with anyone unless it's their love interest. Yes. And that was Mask Danshi, This Shouldn't Lead to Love. And then I also read Super Morning Star, the 3rd volume. And the 4th volume. And the 4th volume is the last one in this series. And yes, the 4th volume wraps up the entire series in such a very good way. So in this 3rd volume we see that Kaido and Honda are still having problems with their relationship. They're going through a separation at the moment of this 3rd volume, and how they're trying to grow their personal lives and work lives and all of that, and that is until they are ready to meet again and become a couple again. And in this 4th volume they have finally talked about their problems and insecurities, and we have a chapter where they go meet their their families and all of that. It's such a good BL series that focuses a lot on the actual relationship of the characters and not a lot about the smut scenes and all of that. So definitely recommend this to anyone who wants to read a good BL with a good story and good characters. It does get a bit annoying because they won't talk about their feelings and like miscommunication, but it's a very good series, and it's completed a 4th volume, so you don't get to commit to a long series if you read this. And the other BL that I read was Kind of a Wolf by Machi Suhiro, and I think I've mentioned this before, but Machi Suhiro is one of my favorite BL mangakas. I really like her art style, and I think I have read most of her stuff. So one of my wishes is for whoever like Gem Press has this series, for Gem Press or like Sublime or anyone else to bring the rest of her mangas, but for now I'm very happy that we got this one. And in this story we follow Shiroki and Hayato Okami. So Hayato is this guy, Hayato and Shiroki. So they are university students, and Shiroki lives alone as well as Hayato. And there's a problem. They are neighbors, but Hayato is someone that likes to play video games and he has a lot of energy. That means he is really loud and really outgoing. That bothers Shiroki mainly because they are neighbors. He practically hears Hayato laugh and like scream and talk with the guys who plays video games with. And so one day he goes up to Shiroki goes up to Hayato and he's like, can you keep it quiet because you're really bothering me? And that's how they kind of meet at first, until Hayato stops going to the school and Shiroki kind of thinks it's his fault because he is a bit intimidating, but that's not the reason why. And so he has a cat. By the way, Shiroki has a cat who is this one right here. One day his cat goes into Hayato's apartment and he's like, I need to get my cat back. And that's where he learns that that's where he learns that Hayato can grow ears and a tail. And he learns Hayato's biggest secret, and that is that he gets possessed by the spirit of a wolf. And even though Hayato is a very outgoing person, he doesn't like to keep like a lot of close friends because of the problem he has. So he's someone that's very lonely in his real life, and that's how they kind of develop this relationship at first, because Shiroki notices this and he kind of feels like some attraction towards Hayato, and that's how they develop a friendship that is later going to turn into a romantic relationship. And yes, this is actually one of my favorites by Machi Suhiro. I think it's very cute and it's a one-shot, so this is all you get to read. If you're interested in this, definitely recommend. And yeah, since it's a one-shot, this is all you have to commit to if you want to read this story. Okay, I need to take a water break.
Few moments later.
Okay, after taking a very needed water break, let's move on to the shoujo and the manhwa. So for shoujo, I read the first and second volume of my special one. This is the first volume and the second one. So what is my special one about? We follow our two main characters, which is Sahoko and Kota. Sahoko and Kota. Sahoko has had a very bad experience with her romantic feelings and her romance life, whatever whatever we want to call it. So Sahoko has, because of something that happened to her in middle school, being that her crush rejected her in a way, she has now in high school promised herself not to fall for anyone, not to fall for any guy, especially if that guy is like really hot or really handsome. And that's what she makes herself promise to herself. That is until she meets the other main character, which is Kota, who is an idol. He's in a idol group, and you guessed it, he is really hot. And yes, Sahoko is going to fall for Kota. But there is an issue, and that is that Kota has also promised himself to never go out with anyone. And the reason for this is because he's the person he was in love with, who was his childhood friend, as well as the person he loved the most, was in an accident. And because of his idol life, he never got to express his feelings for this person, and so he doesn't want to go through the same thing again. And Sahoko confesses her feelings for Kota, but Kota essentially rejects her. And that's basically all that happens throughout the first and second volume, and I feel like this is how the second volume ends, with Kota hugging Sahoko. But this is the one that I'm not sure if I'm going to continue. Yeah, I'm not sure why. It's just the art style. It's not that it's bad, there's just something about the art style that it's making me feel not that great about this manga. It's a good story, yes, but the art style for me is just, it doesn't go with the story. I'm not sure if that makes sense for anyone else, but yes. So I'm still trying to make up my mind of whether or not I'm going to continue this story, but so far this is all I've read, and I did enjoy the first and second volume, but I will have to think about whether or not I'm going to continue buying this story. Okay, moving on to one that feels like a warm hug and something that I really needed to read. And I'm going to go ahead and say this, but this is my favorite manga of this year, and that is Opposites Attract, the first volume. I think this was released last month in August, and this is just the perfect manga. There's nothing wrong with this manga. I absolutely love this manga. Let me tell you guys what this is about. So we follow our two main characters, which you guys guessed it, I forgot their names. Chiharu. Okay, so it's Chiharu and Chiyokata, if I remember. So this is Chiyokata and this is Chiharu. They have different dogs. So as you can see, oh my god, I forgot his name. That's just this guy, and has the tiniest puppy that has ever existed, and she has one of the biggest, strongest dogs that there could be. And so this is how they first meet. But there's a reason why they have these puppy dogs as their pets. Basically, Chiharu is like really strong, and so she doesn't want to have a small puppy because she's afraid of hurting that dog. As for this guy, who I forgot his name again, he is a gentle giant. He loves to be soft with his pet. He loves his dog so much. Look at this. this is so cute. And so he's always trying to be gentle with his dog, and so he's afraid of like having to control such a big like her dog. He's afraid of trying to deal with this type of dog. And that's how they first meet, and they develop some sort of friendship because of their dogs. And we also learned that Chiharu is a preschool teacher and Kiyota is a firefighter. But yes, this being the first volume, there's not a lot more that I can talk about other than that's how they first meet because of their dogs, and that's how they also start a friendship also because of their dogs. Obviously this relationship is going to develop into a romantic one, and I cannot wait to see how that happens and how their pets are also going to be like involved in this relationship growing. But I absolutely love this manga. It's so good, it's so cute, so wholesome. If you want to have a good time, read Opposites Attract. You are not going to regret it, trust me. Okay, next off I have manhwa. I think I'm going to start with the BL and leave the other one towards the end. So I also read No Love Zone by Danby. I've actually read this one before as well. And this is a romance BL manhwa where we follow Lee Eun-kyung and Ha Ji-hyuk. So let's call him Lee and Han. So this is Lee and this is Han. They work in the same office, but there's a difference, and that is that Han is like his boss, right? He's like on another level than Lee. And there's an issue, and that is that Lee is always attracted to like really handsome guys, and Han is one of those guys. And he starts noticing his feelings for him, and so he's always acting shy around him. He's like always being goofy when Han gets close to him. But here's the thing, Lee is like me. He has a horrible memory, and so he doesn't remember that he has met Han before. And that is because Han has obviously changed a lot. This is how Han used to look in high school. The difference. So Lee confesses his feelings towards Han, and Han rejects him. Why? Because when they were in high school, Han confessed his feelings towards Lee, but Lee is like, looks are important to me, so essentially rejecting him. And when Lee confesses his feelings towards Han, Han throws those exact same words towards Lee. And that's how this whole romantic relationship is going to start, with Han being essentially a bully towards Lee because of what happened in the past. And yes, I don't know what else to say about this other than this is such a good BL, especially if you just want to have a good time and laugh out loud. This is one I would definitely recommend. Oh, and if you like office romances, definitely read this one. Okay, the last manhwa that I read in the month of August is The Perks of Being an S-Class Heroine. So, Aliette. So, we follow the main character, Aliette, who is this child. But before she was a child, she was a grown woman who was in an accident, and she dies and is later transmigrated into a novel where she is going to be the main character. and then she wakes up and she is the main character of this story, and her name is now Aliette Rodeline. And this being the first volume, we barely touch the plot of this story, so there's not much else to say other than we get a good introduction to what the plot of the story might be. And this is Aliette is living in a fantasy novel where there's like dungeons and there's magic and there's alchemists, and her dad is one of those alchemists. But at the time of this first volume, Aliette is working as like a maid in the castle of a aristocratic family, and that's it for like, I don't know what else to say this other than that it's a good start for a series. It's definitely a good volume. It's a good introduction volume towards what might be a good fantasy comedy manhwa. So if you like transmigration mangas, definitely give this one a try. It has a lot of comedy, and we are following the main character is a child who is apparently really strong, but although she's a child, she has the memory and she has the memories of the other character who was an adult woman. So it's very funny to see how she like interacts and behaves with other characters. So yes, I would definitely recommend this to anyone that likes like characters being sent to another world, or yeah. And that's it. That's all I read in August. It wasn't a lot, but I think I read some really good stories and I was not disappointed. And I discovered a very good manga that I cannot wait for the second manga to be released. And with all of that, if you guys like this video, please don't forget to leave a like and consider subscribing. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all later. Take care. Bye bye.